Hello everyone, this is Robert at English 360, and today I will be reading a story, a very interesting story of Edgar Allan Poe called The Black Cat. So if you're learning English or you just want to listen to a story, this is a short one. It's a horror story. If you like horror stories, then this is gonna be the right one for you. Just a quick recap on who Edgar Allan Poe is or was. He's famous for his tales of horror. He's also considered to be the inventor of modern detective story, the modern short story itself, and modernist poetry. In addition, he was one of the earliest creators of science fiction. His stories were also the basis for that great popular art form, the horror film. More books have been written by Edgar Allan Poe than any other American author. In part, this is because of his great artistic influence, but also because his life was as mysterious and tragic as his stories and poems. So, this is Edgar Allan Poe. Let's start with the story called The Black Cat. I do not think people will believe my story, but I'm not mad and I'm not dreaming. Tomorrow I will die and I want to make a confession. The events which I'm going to describe here have terrified me, have tortured me, have destroyed me. To me, they seem horrible and supernatural, but perhaps somebody who is calmer and more rational will find a logical explanation. This is my story. I was a very kind and gentle child who loved animals. As I grew up, this love for animals became greater. This is easy to understand. It is difficult to trust people, but you can always trust a faithful dog. I married when I was young and my wife liked animals too. We had birds, goldfish, a dog, rabbits, a small monkey and a cat. This cat was quite large, beautiful and completely black and extremely intelligent. In fact, my wife sometimes said that our cat was probably a witch in disguise. She wasn't really serious about this, and I mentioned it now only because by chance I remember it. Pluto, this was the cat's name, was my favorite pet and playmate. He followed me everywhere. Unfortunately, I became victim of alcohol. I drank more and more, of course. My personality changed. I became moody and irritable with my wife and pets. At the beginning, though, I respected Pluto and never hurt him. But one night I returned home very intoxicated. I thought that Pluto was avoiding me. I held him violently and in his fright, the cat bit my hand. I became furious. I was possessed by a demon. I caught the cat again. Then I took a pocket knife from my pocket, opened it and cut out his eye. I blush. I burn while I now write these facts. The next day I felt horror for my action, but I continued to drink, and wine made me forget the horrible thing I had done. The cat got better. The empty eye socket was frightening, but the cat was no longer in pain. He went about the house as usual, but obviously he ran away from me in terror. At first I was sorry about this, but soon it made me angry. And then came the spirit of perverseness. Philosophy does not talk about this spirit, but it is a fundamental part of the human heart. We have all done stupid or terrible things simply because we know that we should not do them. This, then, is perverseness. The spirit of perverseness, I say, destroyed me because one day I decided to kill our poor Pluto. While tears in my eyes and sadness in my heart, I put a noose around his neck and hanged him from a tree. I hanged Pluto only because I knew he loved me. Only because he had never hurt me, only because I knew that God would never pardon me for the crime. night of this crime, there was a fire in my house. My wife, my servant, and I just managed to escape. My entire wealth was destroyed in the fire, and I lost all hope. I do not want to say that there was a connection between my crime and the fire. I only want to record the facts of my story. The day after the fire, I went to visit the ruins of my house. Only one wall remained, and around this wall was a group of people. They were saying things like strange, singular. I went closer and I saw a strange bas relief on the wall, the figure of a gigantic cat. The image was extremely accurate. There was a rope about the animal's neck. When I first saw the image of the cat, I was terrified, but I thought about it and I found a good explanation. I had hung the cat in the garden next to my house. When the fire began, this garden filled up with people. Somebody probably threw the cat into my bedroom window in order to wake me up. The other walls of the house fell in and pressed the body of the cat against this wall. The great heat of the fire and a chemical reaction then made the image. Although I had a logical explanation, that bas relief made a great impression on my imagination. For months I could not escape the phantom of the cat. I even tried to find another cat to substitute it. Then one night in a bar, I saw a black object on top of some hogshead of rum. I looked closer. It was a large black cat. It was almost identical to Pluto, except it had an indistinct white area on its breast. I caressed the cat and it immediately got up and purred. It was happy. This was the animal I was looking for. I asked the bartender if I could buy it. He said that it was not his. I continued to caress the cat, and when I left the bar, the cat followed me home. My wife liked this cat very much, but I began to dislike it. I had thought that I would be happier with a new cat. Instead, the affection of the cat only disgusted me. And slowly this disgust became hatred. I avoided it because I felt some shame for killing Pluto and I did not want to hurt it too. In addition, this cat, just like Pluto, had only one eye. However, the more I hated this cat, the more it followed me. It is difficult to explain how terrible this was. When I sat down, it would jump on my legs and cover me with horrible caresses. When I got up to walk, it was between my legs and I would almost fall. This made me so angry that I wanted to kill it, but I was stopped. Not by the memory of my first crime, but by the absolute dread of the beast. The dread was not exactly a dread of physical evil, but I do not know how to define it. I'm almost ashamed to admit, as I wait here in my prison cell, that my terror was caused by something incredibly insubstantial. My wife had often talked about the indistinct white patch on the cat's breast, the only difference between him and Pluto. But this indistinct white patch gradually became distinct. I tried to ignore what I saw. I said to myself that it was just my imagination. But this distinct image was the real reason why I did not dare hurt the beast. It was an image that I feared. It was the image of the gallows. That terrible instrument of horror and crime, of agony and death. Oh, how I suffered! You cannot imagine. I had killed a brute beast, and now another brute beast was destroying me. Day or night I could not rest. During the day the creature never left me alone, and at night I woke up hourly from horrible dreams with that thing on my face. It was a living nightmare, always there in my heart. all my good thoughts had gone. Evil thoughts filled my brain, and I began to hate all things, all mankind. My wife, I am sorry to say, suffered the most. One day we had to go down into the cellar. The cat went between my legs. I almost fell. I became furious. I grabbed an axe and tried to kill the animal, but my wife blocked my arm. This made me even more furious. I lifted the axe again and buried it in her brain. She fell dead immediately without a groan. I had murdered her. Now I had to eliminate the body. There were many possibilities. I could cut the body into little pieces and then burn them. Or I could bury it. Finally, I decided to put it inside the wall of the cellar. There was a projection in the wall. I pulled out the bricks with a crowbar. I put the body in there and then carefully put the bricks back. Nobody could see the difference. It was perfect. Then I went to look for the cat to kill it too. But the beast had escaped. I did not see it that night. I was finally free of its torment, and that night I slept tranquilly, even if I had just killed my wife. The second and third day passed. The monster did not return. My happiness was supreme. The police came and searched the house, but of course they found nothing. I would be happy forever. Then, on the fourth day, the police came again. They told me to come with them while they searched the house. They went down into the cellar again and found nothing. I was so happy that I wanted to say something. I wanted to show that I was really not guilty. "Gentlemen," I finally said, "I'm glad that you have no more suspicions. Oh, by the by, isn't this a well-constructed house?" Now I really can't remember what I said. In fact, I think it's an excellently well-constructed house. These walls, are you going, gentlemen, are really solid. Then, in that moment, I hit the walls with my cane. May God protect me. The noise of my cane was answered by a voice from the tomb. At first the voice was difficult to hear. It was like a child crying. Then it became louder and louder. One long, loud, continuous scream, completely inhuman, that came directly from hell. For a moment the police and I did not move, but then they easily opened the wall. There inside was the standing corpse, already greatly decayed and covered with blood. On the corpse's head, with its red mouth open and one eye, was the beast. The beast that had made me murder my wife. And now that monster had given me to the hangman. I had walled the monster up within the tomb. So what a horror story. With a husband who goes berserk, goes totally crazy, starts drinking and starts imagining things and killing cats and eventually his wife. Next week's story will be a much lighter one, so please smash the like button if you like the story and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Have a great day and peace.